Hi, welcome to the farm. Ever since I started doing some of these cooking videos with recipes that we use a lot here on the farm, friends have been after me to do a recipe or do a video on chicken and dumplings. So I'm going to try that. I don't know how well this is going to work out because I have to go back and forth to the stove to do that, but at least you'll have the recipe and maybe this will help you a little bit on how we do this. I started making chicken and dumplings. This is my mother's recipe. Mother was the world-class chicken and dumpling maker in our family. She made them for every church event, every family gathering, and they were delicious. I didn't learn how to make chicken and dumplings for many years because, hey, Mother was doing it. As she got later in life and her health began to fail, I started saying that maybe I needed to learn how to make the chicken and dumplings. So I had her write it out for me, and the recipe that she wrote is written step by step by step. You do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. And since I was notorious for stirring things, she wrote in there, and do not stir. So I'll explain that more when I get to that part. Mother was a great cook, and she like I said, she made this for all of our family gatherings. For me, if you've gotten a recipe from me, if I've given you a recipe, you can see that it's generally not just the list of ingredients, but it's written out step by step by step, because that's how I learned to cook. For me, I need to know what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and why it needs to be done. So there's a lot to that in learning how to cook. For chicken and dumplings, and I'll be going back and forth here. The video is not wide enough, so I'll be in and out of the scene a little bit. But like I said, maybe this will help you. This is what I call a chicken and dumpling kit. It's a jar of canned chicken broth. We can our own chicken broth here. You can use bought chicken broth, but we can ours. A turn, as we would call it, of pastry, of dough, and some chicken. Now, when I cook up a lot of chicken sometimes when I'm making broth, and I'll pick it off the bone and stick this in the freezer. And if I need to make chicken and dumplings quickly, I just gather up my kit and I can be on my way. If you're going to make this from scratch, you'll cook some chicken. You can use a whole chicken. You can use chicken parts. You can use thighs and breasts, whatever you like, however much chicken you like. We like dark meat or white meat. Cook the chicken, let it get good and done, pick it off the bone, and set that aside, of course, and save it to go back in the dumplings. What I have here is probably about, I'd say about a half a gallon of chicken broth, because I'm going to make a big turn of chicken and dumplings here. And so now I'm going to show you how to make the dough. So I'll set this aside, so I'm not going to be needing that just now. The recipe for making the dough. Now, a lot of people say they use biscuits or they use Bisquick, and you can do that if you want to, if you like that kind of dough, if you like that kind of dumpling. We like these dumplings. We like them really firm. I don't like my dumplings to be gooey or floating away in the chicken and dumplings, so this is how I make them. If you've ever had mine, then you know how good they are. So what we'll do first is we need 4 cups of self-rising flour. Now this little handmade cup I got from my friend Karen Davis, who is a woodworker, treen weigher as this is called. This holds almost a cup if it's leveled off, so I'll just round it over. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so I'll sift that. I think on another video I said that we kept our flour in the refrigerator. Actually, I keep it in the freezer because we buy a lot of flour at a time. And we'll keep it in the freezer for a while, and then I pack it away in plastic airtight containers so that we always have plenty of flour if we need it. Okay, there's the flour. Next, it takes a half a cup of Crisco. Now, this is a half cup measure, but I've rounded it over. It's just because it's not mashed down in there tight, but a half a cup of Crisco. Drives me crazy on these cooking shows how they never get all of the stuff out and they leave it, and I'm like, no, I've been through too many hard times with my family and my growing up that I don't waste anything. Okay. Now, we'll work that Crisco into the flour. And if you've watched any of the other videos, you know that I used to work the flour or the Crisco in by hand, but the heat from your hand kind of melted a little bit, so I use a pastry cutter now. Cut that in till the Crisco is pretty fine. It doesn't have to be tiny, but just like small pea size, frozen peas size. Okay. And you can feel it. Yeah, you can still feel the little pieces of the Crisco in there, so you can tell that that's worked up fine enough. Okay. Then ice water, the same as for pastry. Basically, you make this up just like you make pastry, except for pastry is made with plain flour. This is made with self-rising flour. I don't know if I said that at the beginning. And pastry dough is handled gently. The least you can handle it, the better off you are. For dumpling dough, I don't think you can overwork it. I've worked it pretty hard sometimes, and I don't think you can overwork it. There's a piece of ice there. I don't want it. Okay. Start out, if you've seen, well, there's another piece of ice. If you've seen the other videos, you don't want to put a whole lot of water in to start with, and you just stir, because I don't have this is what I call a poor man's dough hook. You just stir it around and around until it begins to come together. Because I'm using a lot more flour here, so I take quite a bit more water. Actually, I think I'm going to need a little bit more than that. Much better. You can see how this is coming together. It begins to make a real shaggy ball, and then the more you stir around and around, the more it begins to stick together. A little bit more there. Let's see. Let's use this. Yeah, there we go. Now it's all sticking together. There we go. And you can see that that's made a ball. Now I will take some plastic wrap. Let this dough fall out into my hand. And wrap it up in the plastic wrap. If you're going to use this, if you're going to make the pastry the same day you make your chicken and dumplings, you need to make your pastry up while your chicken is cooking so that you can refrigerate this for at least a couple of hours. What I'll do is I'll put it in a plastic bag and freeze it. Generally, if I'm making up dumpling dough or pastry dough, I'll make it several balls because make the mess one time and clean it up one time. And I'll put that in the freezer, and then I'll have my kit ready for another time. Okay, through with that. All right. Now then, I'm going to get down to the real thing. To work out the pastry, you put flour on your dough board. Now, this one has been sitting out of the refrigerator for a little while, and it's gotten pretty soft. So I'll have to work some more flour in this and get it to the point that I'm ready to make the dough. All right. Yeah, we'll need this until we get it really pretty stiff. tell by feeling that's pretty stiff. You can probably see by how hard it's taken me to mash it down that you can tell how stiff that is. Okay, now I will take about a softball size, maybe, piece of dough and begin to roll that out. In the meantime, my broth is heating. I want it to come to a boil before I put this in. One of the things that we'll do with this, and I guess I might as well go ahead and do that now, is we'll add to that chicken broth 1 can of cream of chicken soup. Now, if you're opposed to using processed foods like cream of chicken soup, if you have a recipe, or you can add cornstarch to this to thicken it. This is just the way Mother always made it. It's the way I always make it. It's one of the few things that I will use this type of soup in. I seldom ever use bought soups, primarily for the sodium content and because who knows what else is in there. But we want to put that in our broth. And this is kind of funny. In Mother's recipe, she said, and so this is why I do it, to stir it with a slotted spoon. I don't know why it needs to be stirred with a slotted spoon, but that's what Mother said to do, and I don't deviate from this recipe. So that's beginning to dissolve in that. Alright, I'll let that continue. I'll stir that a little more in a minute. So I'll finish rolling out this piece of dough. Chicken and dumplings is one of those things that's very intimidating for people, but it's not that hard to do. It takes a little time. It makes a little bit of mess, but it is so worth it in the end. So you want to roll this out, and the reason I turned it over is so that it doesn't stick to the board. You can work flour up under it, but you want to roll this out extremely thin. Just about as, oops, I don't want that flour going in the floor. Just about as thin as you can get it. All right. All right. Now then, what you'll do next is take just a plain kitchen knife and cut this in strips, about, I guess that's about 1 inch wide. The first round of dumplings that you put in, first round of dough that you put in, takes a little while because you're waiting for the broth to come to a boil. But once the broth starts boiling, then I'll have to roll this out quicker and get on it a little bit quicker. So let's see if that's about to come to a boil. Oh yeah. I wish I had a professional enough setup that I could bring the camera over here and let you see this, but it's just a pot of broth with a can of chicken soup stirred up in it. So that's pretty self-explanatory, I think. Alright, that's about to come to a boil. Let's heat it up just a little bit. I don't generally add any additional salt to this because of the cream of chicken soup generally has enough salt. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of black pepper as I'm finishing the dish up, but sometimes people don't like black pepper in it, and so that's something you can always add at the table as you get ready to eat it. Alright, I've got that. I've got the cream of chicken soup stirred up in it. Oh, found a piece of chicken. How about that? In a can of cream of chicken soup. It's unusual. Alright. Now let's just wait for that to come to a boil. As I said, I usually keep all this on hand that I can make chicken and dumplings anytime. We make them for church dinners. Our family loves them, especially my daughters-in-law. Our sons don't care too much for it, but I was so glad that they chose wives that like our chicken and dumplings, so we have this a lot. This is something that I make and take out a lot. In fact, this particular batch is going to be a Christmas present for a very special couple of friends of ours. So I thought, what can we give them for Christmas? They love my chicken and dumplings, so I'll give them a big bowl of chicken and dumplings for Christmas. All right. As that comes to a boil, we'll take the dough and just take the strips of it and just drop it in to where the bubbles are. As it's boiling, just drop the dough in. And that's basically all there is to it. What I'll do next is I'll continue to roll these out and drop these in as the broth is coming to a boil. Once I do all this, I'll turn the heat down and let it cook. Probably about another 20 minutes or so. By the time I put all these in, it generally is getting close to getting done, except for the very last ones that go in. Let it cook for about 20 minutes or so. Turn it down even lower. Add the chicken to it. Let it steep for an hour or so. And then it's ready to go. I'll stop the video and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's finished. I hope you enjoy. All right, I've moved the camera over here so I can get it up close enough to be able to show you how the dumplings look. I mentioned earlier that my mother said do not stir because I was notorious for stirring things. What you do have to do occasionally though is separate the dumplings apart a little bit, or you can actually just take the pot and shake it a little bit. So I'll show you. I'm going to try to move the camera here so you can see this. You can see what the dumplings look like. There we go. You can see that they're boiling just a little bit. So I'm going to be adding more dumplings to that and continue to cook this on. Then I'll show you the finished product. As we finish up this video, here's the finished product, chicken and dumplings with the chicken cut up in it. I've got this turned on low and I'll let that steep for a few more minutes before I turn it off and pour it over into a bowl. This reheats well. I like to make it kind of thin so that if you need to reheat it in the microwave, it doesn't thicken up too much, or you can put it, of course, back in the pot and reheat it. I've also put it in a crock pot and kept on warm to serve to a crowd. I said that I needed to let it steep for about 45 minutes to an hour or so, but as you can see, I always have to check it out. Oh man, it is so good. You can see, you cut these into two, you can see that they're well done. They're firm, but they're not gooey. I like a little pepper in mine. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it has helped you. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at bnprayerlogue. That's bnprayerlogue @cs.com. Be glad to answer any questions. Be glad to give you the recipe if you didn't catch it as it went through on the video. I hope to put this on my blog a little later. That would be www.newmanvalley.wordpress.com. I hope you enjoy it. Good day.